bringing you the latest news from Liberty Athletics. This is the Patriot Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back in. I am Randy Rosetta. This is the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. We have one more segment to go. Well, three more segments. Three more, not two, because Parker, you know you get three segments with me. I get three segments with you, let's put it that way, because Liberty and Lubbock Cooper have the benefit of being on for half an hour instead of 20 minutes. I set that up on purpose because you guys have to come the furthest, so I figure may as well make them stay for a little while.
Yeah, we deserve it.
And I'm glad you're healthy. You were just telling me that you, like about 95% of West Texas, has kind of wrestled with things the last couple. You said you were sick during Christmas? After Christmas.
Yeah, I just stayed at home all by myself Christmas Day.
Your little dude, how did he deal with that?
Him and my wife went home. I stayed and napped, and having the flu over Christmas, I don't recommend to anybody.
Nope, been there, done that. And you're absolutely right. There's no, first of all, it's not any fun to have it ever. But yeah, that's no fun. It sure didn't affect your team when you got done with Christmas. You guys went to, I know it's not called the one, what's it called?
It's a Champions Tournament. They call it the CBT now.
Okay.
Champions Basketball Tournament.
In and around Fort Worth.
Yep. Eagle Mountain, Saginaw. Let
me get my list up here, because this is now the coach of the 9th ranked team in Class 4A. I texted you when you guys got ranked. Have you ever been top 10?
Never.
So we're breaking new ground here. I will tell you, Tony Wagner said that the rankings probably should be switched. You guys should be 10 and they should be 9.
I absolutely agree. So they're 59-1 the past 6 years in the district.
There you go. We'll talk about that, because number 9 and 10 play each other tomorrow night down in South Lubbock County. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But I want to talk about what these guys did last week. Went to the CBT, beat, and I'm going to butcher this because there's a city in Kansas called Salina that's spelled different. Is it Salina or Salina? Salina. Beat Salina, which is a nice start. Then followed that up by beating number 15 now, Brock. I don't know if they were higher at that point. And then number 11, Kennedale. 2 big wins to win the championship of that tournament. That's nice. But beating those two in particular, because that's Region 1. That's
absolutely
teams that you have to, when we get into February and March, those are teams that are going to potentially be waiting for you.
Yeah, that's exactly what I told our guys in the Salina game. I was like, we got to win this, because the Brock game for us is much more beneficial than it is for Salina. You know, Brock could very well be a first-round game for us, depending on how our district shapes up. And so we just wanted to see it, kind of see where we're at. And, you know, I don't think I know we didn't play our best against them. You know, we had them down 9 at one point and had a young goaltending mistake, and next thing you know, it's a 3-point game, and we just hung on for dear life. And you know, it was what you wanted to see. You know, at the time, I think they were ranked 11th and we were 13th, and so, but just the history of Brock, anybody that knows basketball knows they're solid and they're really good, and it was a good win for us. And then the same thing for Kennedale. You know, Kennedale won our division D2 state championship last year, and so we kind of wanted to see where we're at with them. You know, they've beaten Birkin earlier in the year, who we lost to, and obviously have some really good wins. And so we were up 18 at halftime against them, and kind of same thing as Brock. We just hung on for dear life and found a way to win the game.
You just mentioned Birkburn out because I was doing my research here. You beat back-to-back ranked teams then. You play another ranked team. You jumped into district last week. We'll talk about that too, but you play number 10 Estacado tomorrow night at your gym, 7:30. I'm going to look up the radio stuff here again. I believe it's right here, 100.7 The Score. Lost at who's number 8, Burke Burnett in 4A now, but you also have wins against number 17, West Plains, and I've seen West Plains play twice. And you beat number 24, Canyon, and I know that dude that coaches theirs knows his way around the basketball court a little bit.
Seminole's ranked 13th now, too.
Seminole, okay, that's one I missed then. So you guys have proven a lot already. Now you get into this point of the season. You're the third 5-4A coach that's been on, so we've touched on this. This is, I don't know if it's funner for the players. It's funner for the coaches now, because you get into that routine of there's maybe more strategy. You get to figure out how do I need to coach to beat Tony Wagner? How do I need to coach to beat CJ Villegas with these young guys who would love nothing better? Morgan, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this. the girls experience this. Like nothing better than to jump up and bite you guys.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing we're looking forward to is a routine.
Yep.
Since we've started basketball, we've had 1 week of routine, and that was the week right before Christmas break. We had to practice Monday, game Tuesday, practice Wednesday, Thursday, game Friday, and ever since then, our first week back was right in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
We went to a tournament the next weekend, and then tournament right after Christmas break. So as a coach, I'm just excited to get into a routine where we get to practice on Monday, we get to practice on Wednesday, we get to practice on Thursday, we get to come up on Saturday and practice, and just finally have a routine for our guys. And that's what I'm most excited about, and that we're actually getting to practice more times than we play in the week. And to beat the WAGs and the CJs of the world, you're going to have to practice. You can't just roll the ball out and go. So,
and I don't want to leave your former team out there either, because they're having a really good season too. Levelland, in fact, I'll go ahead and mention tomorrow night, again, huge night in Lubbock in District 5 4A, doubleheaders at Liberty and at Memorial. Estacado, number 10 in the state, plays number 9 in the boys' game. In the girls' game, Estacado comes to town. Their record's a little deceiving, but I'm going to bet that Morgan gets the girls' attention because that's a team that beat them twice in district last year. And then across town at Memorial, Levelland comes to town, girls and boys doubleheader. So what a great night of basketball, 4A basketball in Lubbock, Texas on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, and that Levelland Memorial game is huge, because with Memorial being our district, kind of the playoff format could potentially change. And so that puts maybe some bigger games, some more pressure moments in the district schedule, which you love as a coach. But like you said, it's going to be a good night of basketball, and it's why you do all the things into playing games like this, and we'll see how rewarding it is for either team.
Now, you have a vested interest in the girls program as well. Were you on the way home? Were you able to watch their championship game in the Caprock?
Yeah, I streamed it on the way home and then kept it on to watch the Estacado championship, and it looked like our girls played really well against Lancaster. Just those buzzer beaters.
Yep.
Liberty's got a curse.
Well, I'll tell you what, and 2 of the girls said this today, no moral victories, but I don't know if you can have a better loss in basketball than they had. 2 more segments with Parker Hicks when we come back, talking Liberty basketball on the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Diving headfirst into Liberty Athletics. You're listening to the Patriot Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back in. This is the Patriot Fan Zone. I'm Randy Rosetta. We're talking Liberty basketball, coming off of a nice performance at the CBT. I'm just going to call it the CBT. That's easier to remember. Won that tournament, turned around, and I should know this off the top of my head. I've got it right here in front of me, though. Turned around and beat Big Spring by 51 points. At least if you're not feeling well, at least you could feel a little bit better when you're beating somebody by 51 points.
Yeah, for a few seconds.
And listen,
then I remembered who we had tomorrow.
Exactly. Wag was on here earlier, and we talked about this, and this is zero disrespect meant towards Snyder, Big Spring, and Lakeview. But y'all's district is better this year because Memorial's in it, because you guys are older, and because Tony Wagner's still coaching, and because Levelland their guys are confident. Now, I think they had won 13 in a row. Lubbock Christian, a very good Lubbock Christian team, went and beat them. They lost to Monterey in the Caprock, and I think they bounced back and won a couple games in the Caprock. Kendall coached with you for a year, correct?
He was at the middle school.
And he gets his guys to play. I mean, they are. We talked about this with CJ a minute ago. One thing you got to know if you're playing them is there's no need for a shot clock.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a stretch in time where when I was there, I was really lucky and excited to be there, and then this door opened up. And anyways, that's a story But there was a span when Levelland, I think it was Elam, me, Winholtz. Like there was 4 coaches within 4 years, and as a school and a basketball program, that's hard to recover from, I guess, maybe. And so when they announced Kendall got it, I was super happy for him, because I know that's where he wants to be and where he's going to stay. And they returned a lot of guys from last year. They lost their big number 3, Eric, but a lot of them were young, and they're no doubt better than they were. But I think they're kind of, just another year of experience plays a factor. And I like seeing them have success, being from there and seeing Kendall as a middle school coach and seeing him now as, a varsity guy. But, when the time comes to play him, I'll be ready to beat him. But, I'm excited, and I've enjoyed seeing their success that he's done with them, because I enjoy him and respect him a lot, and excited that he's doing such a good job there.
Maybe not quite as much as the girls 5A district here, where there's 4 ranked teams in the top, I think 15 or 16. But Wag, I asked him this: when's the last time a boys game with 2 top 10 ranked teams was played in Lubbock? And he said he doesn't remember one for a while. So you guys have brought that to the party. And Memorial comes in. I think it's even it's just this year. Memorial's going to jump up to 5A next year. I think that's good for you guys, Estacado and Memorial and Levelland coming over, that all 4 of you are going to get those 6 tests here instead of wobbling through the next few weeks and getting to playoffs and not being tested.
Oh, absolutely. Last year, and this is no disrespect to our district either, but we would either win games by 20 or 25 in district, or we'd lose to Estacado by 20 or 25. We had no close game within the last month and a half of our schedule, and then our first round comes down to a 1-possession game, and it looks like we're, freaking out. And so yes, we're happy to see a really good district. We're also nervous because, who wouldn't be? But, I definitely think our district's going to get us ready for down the line. God willing, we make the playoffs and get to keep playing. But that's why you got to show up and play the game. But, Memorial's gotten better and better as the year has gone on. And, WAG is WAG, and Levelland returned a lot of dudes. So we got lots of scary potential, what we call trap games for us. And, our one tomorrow is huge. But I told the guys today at practice, I said, it's the biggest game of our year because it's the next one, and then it's going to be the same thing Friday. And so our guys deserve to play in a top 10 game. They deserve to have an awesome crowd, awesome venue. And I just hope we get to dial it in a little bit and play basketball and be us. So
I have a hunch that will happen. We're going to talk more specifically about Estacado. This is a little bit different year for WAG because he's got Shakur back, who is obviously one of the best guys in Texas, let alone Lubbock. Andre Langston played some minutes last year, but this is him and Paul Page kind of have this in common. After that, they've had to kind of get guys ready for us. You know what that's like from a few years ago. Yeah, you going to give them any advice going into tomorrow?
No. We were talking earlier, we're going to take our teams bowling at 7:30 instead of but I think that's where we have the advantage. We've been in some meaningful games as a program, but it's Estacado and WAG.
Yep, exactly. We'll be back to talk more about that game when we come back in the Patriot Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Your inside look into Liberty sports. This is the Patriot Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back in. We have one more segment. We're going to talk about that rare top 10 boys basketball game. Happens in girls a little bit out here, especially in 5A girls. It happens pretty regularly. I don't know, just veer off here a little bit real quick. I mentioned this. Chelsea Hunter was in right before you, Parker. In the 5A girls there's always 3 or 4 teams in the state rankings. They just keep switching places. So this week you've got number 10 Paladuro, number 11 Monterey, number 13 Amarillo High. I'm sorry, I skipped over Tascosa. Number 7 Tascosa. Your district's not quite that salty yet. I could see it getting there, especially someday when you guys jump up to 5A. That could happen. You've coached in districts. You've played at the college level. I asked Chelsea this, and you're getting ready to wade into these kind of waters. How fun is that for a coach to know you've got to get a team ready for? You're going to have to do that. I haven't looked at your schedule, what order it is. Just to know your guys have to be locked in for this, and then they have to come back and, okay, get rid of that. We have to get ready for this now. How fun is that as a coach?
I will say it was a lot more fun as a player than it is a coach.
Oh, yes.
And that's part of, I would say it's fun, but it's also, like I mentioned earlier, like it was fun to beat Big Spring by 51, but I realized 3 seconds later that we're playing Estacado Tuesday, and my mind quickly shifted. And then going back to last weekend, like that Champions basketball tournament was a big time tournament win for us, and the fact that I really didn't celebrate it or, yes, I was happy, but I was ready to move on just because of what's down the line. And, as a coach, you're just trying to get your guys up like they're all big games. Like I said earlier, we said tomorrow is a big game because it's the next one on our schedule. And Lakeview on Friday in San Angelo will be our next biggest game because it's on the schedule, and so forth and so forth. And so if we can get that mindset into our kids, then hopefully we can perform to our potential when those bigger games come.
I just did look at your schedule, and you're right. Lakeview is one of those teams that's better this year. I was a little bit surprised when I saw the Estacado score, because usually when Estacado plays them, it's ugly. Yeah. But they must have a little bit more this year than they have. And, oh, by the way, you sneak in a non-district game against Friendship in there on a Saturday afternoon, and Friendship's deceiving. Their record's a little bit deceiving because they're getting better.
Absolutely.
Game by game.
Absolutely. And that's why we wanted to play them. We have the advantage of having a bye, so I wanted to take that first bye as an opportunity to play somebody else and play a really good playoff team. And, the fact that Coach Page was open and wanted to play us was lucky, and we were excited to get the opportunity, and but also to kind of maybe relax from district for a second and play, and then reload and ready to go for however long it takes us. So
in my head, I can already hear Paul Page telling me, I don't know why we scheduled him this year. And
whatever. Those are the biggest sandbaggers. Which
means they'll come out and play just like
exactly.
I think what happened a few weeks ago when they went over to Estacado.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah, I'm looking at the schedule again some more. Not to put the cart too far ahead of the horse here, but last Friday of January is the rematch against Estacado. So you get that, you kind of get them done pretty quick. So you can put some hay in the barn. But let's talk about the hay in the barn tomorrow. Estacado is a little bit different than they were last year. Lost a lot of guys from a state semifinal team, but they still got Shakur Wilbon, and they've got Andre Langston, a year older. They've got arguably as dynamic a duo of potential scorers as anybody in Lubbock. What's the key against them?
I think just how well can we contain them, and that's the story with any good players. How well can you contain? Because contain is going to help with everything else. We got the privilege of playing Burke, who has two really good players, and in that game we did a really good job in the first half of holding them. I think they had 5 points combined, but then in the second half they have 35. And so how well can we contain those guys, knowing, like you said, Shakur is one of the best in not only the city but I think across the state at the 4A level, and how can we control a pure score the way he hit some tough, crazy shots that it's one of those it's like no, yes type of things. And so how can we control those? And the biggest thing with Estacado is how can we limit their runs? They're going to go on a run at some point. They're 59-1 the past 6 seasons in the district for a reason. We won't talk about that one, but
I bet they're talking about that across town.
So it's how well can we defend them, knowing they're going to hit some shots, hit some tough ones, but can we be what I call stone face I got from Chris Beard and move on through the play, knowing basketball is a game of runs, and whoever goes on the most run or the biggest run is more than likely going to win the game.
And they've had a few other guys emerge a little bit. Yeah, Shakur, I want to say this real quick before we run out of time. Watching him last year and this year his numbers against Trinity Christian were a little bit deceiving. He finished 6 of 20 shooting, but a lot of that came late when they were trying to rally. He's not just a three-point shooter. Right. He will hit three-point shots if you leave him open, but he's also, if he understands he's not shooting well, he will drive and hurt you that way.
Absolutely. And last year I think we kind of categorized him as a three-point shooter just because of the weapons he kind of had around him, but he's improved his game and he still has weapons around him. He's just doing more of it with the ball in his hands.
And Shakur, if you're listening, I don't mean to put this onus on you. He's as good a shooter for the boys that, compared to Aaliyah Chavez, as I've seen in a while. He's very smooth and silky. So
he sure is.
6:15 and 7:30 p.m. Estacado at Liberty. That's right here on 100.7 The Score. Number 9 at Liberty. Number 10 Estacado in the boys' game. Show up, listen on the radio, watch it on live stream. That's a huge game. That wraps us up for tonight. We'll be back Wednesday night in the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. I'm Randy Rosetta.